Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're well. So today I'm in the beautiful Lake District. Now this spot here I've visited 3 times in the last 2 days to try to take this image, and each time the weather conditions have been so bad I didn't even get the camera out of the bag. So this morning I've come back. This is my last morning here and clouds are broken, and I think it's given me an opportunity to capture an image. Now in terms of composition, I've got this babbling brook here which is running all this water off the side of the mountain and down the valley down to Brothers Water at the bottom of the valley there, and basically I've got the camera set up so it's forming an S-curve through my foreground, and then we can just see Brothers Water in the bottom there, which I'm situated on the top left hand third of the frame. So I think compositionally it works quite well. Now the issue I do have is because I'm shooting quite wide, because I want to introduce a lot of this foreground, a lot of this texture in this water into the image. The mountains in the background are dwindling away somewhat within the frame. I think what I might try in this instance is taking a wide shot and then taking a vertical panorama to see if I can get, those background mountains to come further into the frame and hopefully make the scene more dramatic. It does throw up a few challenges though. Obviously depth of field becomes a problem the more we zoom into the image, and obviously then we're talking about focus stacking as well, so it's probably going to be a focus stacked vertical panorama. So it'd be interesting to see how it turns out. Bit of a experiment, but yeah, it'd be really interesting to see which image is more dramatic, the wide shot or the stacked vertical panorama. So in terms of my camera settings, I'm at f9. My shutter speed's at 1/5 of a second right now. I'm just trying to get some of the texture in the water in the foreground. I don't want to smooth it out too much. My ISO 160, obviously keep my ISO as low as possible. Lock down the tripod, everything is as stable as possible, and I've got a 2-second timer on to make sure there's no camera shake or anything like that, because I'm using quite a slow shutter speed. So I don't have any filters on at the minute. I don't think it's really worth it. But there's some beautiful hues in the sky right now, some lovely pinks and purples, so it's creating quite a dramatic sky. I'm just going to go ahead and take another image now, and it's creating some actually quite nice balance within the image at the minute, the way the clouds are situated, so that's pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and flip my camera over. Unfortunately I forgot my L bracket, which is quite frustrating, but I'm going to flip the camera over and take a vertical panorama here. Probably what I'm going to do is, while I'm doing it, I'm going to focus on the foreground, then focus on the mid-ground, then focus on the mountains in the background, and hopefully that's going to give me enough depth of field at f9 to make sure the whole entire image is suitably sharp without any soft areas within the frame. The sky is absolutely kicking off right now. It's absolutely beautiful. It really is. I think I'm going to be liking the vertical panorama the best, to be honest. The idea looks like it works better, but obviously I can't see that final image until I get it back and get it stitched together. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take one more set of panoramic images. The sky is amazing right now, so focused on the rocks, 2-second timer. Now it'd be easier if I had a tilting head, so I've got to be really careful when I move the camera up that I don't knock out my framing. I'm trying to keep it as vertical as possible. Wow, some real drama in that sky right now. That looks stunning, it really does. Okay, I'm going to put the wide lens back on and get a shot now while this sky is looking so good. That was at about 30mm, so I'm going to go ahead, quickly put the wide on. Whew. Got to be quick, haven't you, at sunrise? Going to be shooting my wide again. I'm just recomposing the shot. I guess this is going to be my safety shot, if you like, in case the panorama doesn't work. But it's going to be really good to be able to, compare these two images and work out, you know, which one adds more drama and depth to the scene. So 2-second timer on again. Focus about a third of the way into the scene. I just feel that the background is so dramatic. I think, you know, with this wide lens on, I know we're getting all the foreground, the drama of this stream and everything, but we lose the, you know, the scale of the mountains in the background, and I think that's really important for this shot. Obviously, shooting at a tighter focal length compresses the distance between our, you know, foreground elements and our background elements, so we can bring those mountains forward. But obviously, there's a lot more work in post-production in terms of stitching an image together. You know, this wide image here, I don't have to do that much editing to it and it'll be a finished image, whereas obviously the panoramic shot, I've got a whole host of editing to do. So anyway guys, I'm going to get this back to the studio now, and we'll see what we can come up with in the edit, compare the two images, and hopefully make a print out of this shot, because it's a beautiful scene, it really is. Anyway guys, see you back at the studio. So wonderful morning there, actually in the Lake District, fantastic location. If you can hear something in the background, it's my printer printing out the image. So yeah, apologies if you can hear some background noise. We're going to talk about this image now. I've got the two side by side here in Lightroom. We've got the panorama on the left, and we've got the wide shot on the right hand side. So let me just close my editing panel there just to get a bit more real estate. So yeah, as you can see, the wide shot shot 14.5mm and the pano was shot at 28 or 29mm. Now, at first glance, there's not that much difference, but actually when you dive deeper into the image, although it's subtle, there is a big difference. You know, we can see a lot more of this mountain in the background. These hills become a lot more prominent in the scene as well. Even some of the elements in the foreground are a lot closer to the camera because we're zoomed in more. So yeah, I think I much prefer the image on the left, and I think it's a really, really good experiment actually to see what you can achieve from the same vantage point. Because typically, if you want to compress the scene, normally what I would do anyway is walk backwards and then zoom in a lot more. But because I wanted to try to compare these two images, I wanted to try to take it from exactly the same spot. And obviously that means we can only zoom in a small amount if we want to try to get identical images with the wide and the tight, or the tighter shot with the panoramic stitch. So yeah, I was kind of limited to what I could do here, but the comparison's really, really interesting. So if we see on the left hand side, we can just see some, I don't know if it's a stone wall or just some rocks along this scree slope here. They almost match, they're almost identical. But as you can see, they're a lot higher in the frame. But when we come down here into the foreground, you can see I've got a gap here between this rock and the edge of the frame, whereas this rock is touching the frame. So there's obviously a bit of a difference in the way the image is viewed with a tighter and a wider focal length. It's the same with the right hand side as well. We can see the top of the slope in the edge of the frame is about here, but it's a lot higher up. On this one we can see a lot more of the hill. It's flattened out quite a bit more, but as we come down into the foreground here, we can see that this line here on the right of the image is almost identical in the same place as this one, although it looks quite a lot different because of the focal length. So yeah, really interesting little experiment. Now, I was going to go through the edit, but I didn't do that much to this image apart from stitch it and a little bit of dodging and burning, so I didn't think it was really worth going through the whole editing phase, as I didn't do that much to the image. But what I would say about this way of shooting panoramas, it's a little bit hit and miss. Now, I shot 4 different panoramas as the light was changing through the morning, and I could only get one of them to stitch together. Now, I'm just going to show you one that didn't work. And now I think probably the reason why it didn't work is because I was using a ball head. If I had a pan and tilting head, it would be a lot more accurate. I would have been able to raise my camera perfectly on that vertical line. Whereas a ball head, you've got a bit of movement. It could have moved left and right a little bit. So I'm just going to show you this set of images here, which is, so let's just merge these set of images together here. highlight them all, right click, photo merge, panorama, and we'll just see, as you can see here, it stitched them together, but it's well, it can't it's stretching them out, and it's not really working at all. I tried it on cylindrical, it wouldn't stitch those together at all, and perspective it would do, but it was all crooked. Now I probably think it was an error on my part, the fact that the ball head was probably all over the place and not accurate enough to do this type of panorama. So that's something to think about. So I would suggest, if you're thinking about doing a vertical panorama, that you take a safety shot as well with a wider lens. But maybe it's something that you could experiment with. I think it's definitely created a more dramatic image. I printed this image out, I did a little bit of work to it in order to get it ready for the print, as I always do. I take the sharpening off in Lightroom, take it into Photoshop, apply some sharpening in Photoshop, bring it back into Lightroom, and then I just do a few little edits to it just to get it ready for the print. And this will vary from print to print. For this one, I've just boosted the exposure up by a little bit, boosted the contrast to +13, increased the blacks to -17, and I've boosted the saturation up by +4. That's all I've done. So I've just essentially added some more saturation, a little bit more exposure, and boosted the contrast just to get it ready for print. Then I've sent it over to the printer. So let's go and grab the print, see what it's come out like. So I printed this on platinum etching, and yeah, it's really nice. I'll hold it up for you. Probably not going to be able to see it that well, but I think it's come out really well. Yeah, I'm pretty happy how this came out. And obviously, doing the panoramic image, we've got a more high resolution image than we would be with just the single wide. So this came out at around about 70 megapixels as opposed to 26, which it would have been if I'd have just shot the wide angle low. So you obviously got a lot more resolution to play with if you wanted to print big. So again, that's something else that you might consider if you want to make really large prints. It's this stitched together really well, and the detail in it is absolutely spot on. It really is. I'm really pleased with how this print looks, and the purples in the sky are, yeah, absolutely amazing. So every month in the Photographers Clubhouse we do a monthly challenge. Last month's monthly challenge was water, and the 10 winners, I'll put their images on the end of the video for you to take a look at. This coming month's challenge is ice. So if you fancy taking part in the monthly challenge, please do go ahead and check out the Photographers Clubhouse. The link is at the top and down in the description. There's also the first monthly video on there from myself. That's about a 25-minute video. In that we do a bit of a photography pub quiz, a bit of fun, just a bit of a laugh, and also some behind the scenes chit chat and stuff that's going on over there as well. So interested in taking a look at that? Yeah, like I said, the link is at the top and down in the description. Yeah, so much coming up, guys, on the channel. I've got so many great ideas. Well, they're great in my head anyway, that I want to share with you. At the minute, we're currently, just as I've come back from the Lake District, we're currently going into the next stages of lockdown. So I'll be staying local in the course of the next month or so, trying to do my bit to help out. And yeah, but I have got some really cool ideas. So anyway, guys, I'm going to put the 10 gallery winners on the screen for you now, and I'll see you next week. Take care, guys.